priceless advice. Hey, wait, I got a new complaint. Forever indebted to your priceless advice. Hey, wait, I got a new complaint. Forever indebted to your priceless advice. Your advice. Needing orchids, forgive no one just yet. Caught myself on angel hair and baby's breath. Broken hearted of your highness, some left black. Throw down your umbilical noose so I can climb right back. Hey, wait, I got a new complaint. Forever indebted to your priceless advice. Hey, wait, I got a new complaint. Forever indebted to your priceless advice. Hey, wait, I got a new complaint. Forever indebted to your priceless advice. Your advice. She eyes me like a Pisces when I am weak. I've been locked inside your heart-shaped box for weeks. I've been drawn into your magnetic trail. I wish I could eat your cancer when you turn black. Hey, wait, I got a new complaint. Forever indebted to your priceless advice. Hey, wait, I got a new complaint. Forever indebted to your priceless advice. Hey, wait, I got a new complaint. Forever indebted to your priceless advice. Oh, yeah.
I did not see that coming.
That was awesome.
Did not see that one coming.
Yeah. Can you guys think of any other songs that mention tar pits? Anybody?
Not off the top of my head.
No, I can't.
Because I was cutting some tracks for OK Human yesterday.
Ooh.
And we have a song called the La Brea Tar Pits. And I was like, oh my God, tar pits. There's another tar pit song. But those might be the only two. Let me know if you can think of others. Woo! Nirvana, man.
Yeah.
So, a couple episodes back, I did Drain You. I don't know if you guys saw that. That's one of my favorite Nirvana songs. I thought it came out really good. And then like the next day I saw that Post Malone covered a bunch of Nirvana songs. So I'm wondering who did it better. Tweeted train you better. Me or Post Malone. Please report back. Yeah. So I'm not going to, I guess I'll give you the final update on my model airplane. Pretty good. This, whatever part goes in here kind of fell through. So I'm kind of bummed about that. On this side, you can see there's like a little, some part of the engine there. It was really hard. I was surprised how hard it was. This was a level 4 model airplane, which is, I think, the hardest. So now I'm working on a level 2. It's easier. Everybody say hi to Karl. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Carl.
Hey,
Hey,
Karl.
Karl.
Hello, Carol.
Nice to see you
Hello,
all.
Karl. Yes. You're at your home in Buffalo, right?
Yes, it is snowing, but it's also sunny at the same time.
Oh my God, it's snowing?
Yeah. Now you have all the flowers and all the beautiful springtime stuff, and then today decided, no, we're just going to punish you one more time. How about on a bike ride right now in the snow?
Oh, awesome. And what's that stuff behind you?
Well, this is one of the bookshelves in the office here, and there's other ones across the hallway in the living room, and they're just full of my books. But then in the last 3 or 4 years, they've been increasingly redecorated by my child. The higher he could reach, the more shelves get strangely rearranged. And I decided not to stress about it, even though I'm really particular about that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
now there's like, art and weird toys that don't, make any sense and little arrangements. And I always ask him what it means. And it's like, oh, well, this guy, he had to come here because he got a boo-boo on his foot. So then there's these whole elaborate stories of why these scenarios happened. But then he decided to take this stack of books that I didn't have any place for. And they're all like Black history books like this one. And for some reason, he decided those had to be facing out and on display. And I was like, you know what? That's great. That's cool. He has no understanding of this stuff yet, but it's nice that he's at least checking it out.
It seems like he's a real collector, organizer, systematizer like his dad.
Yeah, except his systems can be pretty unkempt at times.
Uh-huh.
But, he's 5. You can't expect anything, but it's like he has something in his head. And oftentimes it makes total sense to him, and I'm totally support that. Other times it's like, okay, kid, every 3 inches there's a toy on the floor. They all have to be picked up now. This is way too much.
So I don't know if everyone knows this, but you've turned into the band's archivist, right?
Yeah, actually, I always sort of tried to save stuff. I wish I'd done that more in the early days when things were so hectic and chaotic in the van and everything. But it just seemed like I could never throw anything out, and it just seemed like a bad idea to. So I ended up accumulating a lot of stuff. And then in recent years, it's like, all right, they have a poster for the show tonight. Can we get 5 of those so we can just, squirrel them away somewhere? And it just kind of grew into this monster that's currently in my basement.
Uh-huh. It'd be cool to get a peek down there sometime. I've never actually seen it.
I could see if I could maintain connection and walk down there during this meeting if you wish.
Yeah. Are you on your phone?
No, I'm on the computer, but I imagine the Wi-Fi wouldn't die if I walked down there.
Oh, your laptop?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'd love to see it.
I'll see if I can, maybe in your next song, I'll walk down there during when I'm muted and see if it still connects. And if it does, then I'll stay down there.
And what about your infamous vinyl collection?
That's down there too, and that's much larger. It's too big. I've been starting to think, how can I start to trim it down a little bit because it's just too much. But you know how it is. It's like the good ones you don't want to get rid of, and then, oh, that one's good too. Oh, that one's good too. Oh, that one's good too.
Hey, Karl, have you ever heard of Marie Kondo?
The name sounds familiar. Well, I'm lost right now. Who is that? Marie Kondo.
She's a Japanese,
The artist, right?
not an artist. She's like a a cleaning and lifestyle consultant.
Right.
So I've gotten rid of just about all my stuff after reading her book a few years ago. You know what? Don't read it. I think somebody should keep a copy of everything, like Noah on the ark, you know, just in case we need it someday.
I read the book and like the next, like a few Zoom meetings down the line, you see me, I'm in a tent in the forest somewhere. It's like, oh yeah, all that stuff's gone. Oh yeah, the house, we didn't need that.
Speaking of Japanese people, I texted you that I ran into Takashi the other day, just like out in front of my house. We were out taking a walk and we saw him.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so Takashi was somebody I met at LA Community College in typing class, and he roped me into taking karate with him. And I took it for a year and a half. I think I got to my blue belt.
Well, green? What was higher?
Green is higher. I think I got a yellow stripe on my blue belt, which is like advanced enough that you would think you can fight, but not advanced enough that you could avoid getting your ass kicked. Wait, I got an alarm going off. Hold on.
Well, I like that pin shop got there. It's got full of pens. That's a good guess.
I don't know. Should I play a song or should we just rap?
Well, you got some songs lined up?
I have 2 songs lined up.
No. Okay.
I'll definitely play one more. Just I don't know how much rapping and what the right rap singing ratio is. Normally I'd say no rapping, but
you can rap. Why don't I try to take this downstairs while you do another tune? And
okay.
Down there, and that might down there, or it might be a total failure.
Yeah, it might be a cool video for the song.
Okay, I will investigate right now.
I should have prepared in the garage or something.
Oh. You can call it the new ad-lib song called "In the Basement." Okay. All right, I will mute.
Okay. Everything still sound and look like it should, apart from my mustache. My girl's got a big mouth with which she blabbers a lot. She laughs at most everything, whether it's funny or not. And if you see her, tell her it's over now. I want a girl who will laugh for no one else. When I'm away, she puts her makeup on the shelf. When I'm away, she never leaves the house. I want a girl who laughs for no one else. My girl's got eyeballs in the back of her head. She looks around and around, you know it makes me sad to see her like that. And if you see her, tell her it's over now. I want a girl who will laugh for no one else. When I'm away, she puts her makeup away, she never leaves the house. I want a girl who loves for no one else. And if you see her, tell her it's over now. And if you see her, tell her it's over now. And if you watch her go, watch her, watch her, watch her, watch her. I want a girl who will laugh for no one else. When I'm away, she puts her makeup on the shelf. When I'm away, she never leaves the house. I want a girl who laughs for no one else, no one else.
Very nice.
What do you guys think about 12 p.m. rock music?
I like it. I'll take it back today.
It's 2 a.m.
It's later. That's right.
I'll take it. I'll get up in the middle of the night.
Yeah. I literally am in the middle of the night. It's 2 a.m. here. But
where are you in Jakarta?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Waiting for my meal because I'm fasting, right? It's Ramadan, so I'm awake anyway at this hour.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, crazy. What's your normal bedtime?
Well, I'm not really in a full-time job at the moment, so it's a bit in flux. So, I just, whenever I'm ready to fall asleep, I fall asleep.
Whoa, yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah. No fixed routine right now.
Hey, Karl.
Yes. Can you hear me?
That looks amazing.
It's pretty packed down here. I can't even begin to explain it really, but there's a lot of everything and too much really. But maybe if I get rid of some records, I'll have more room to spread it out.
Wow.
But yeah, it's like merchandise and vinyl and just 8 million filing cabinets full of every bit of ephemera that I could ever get my hands on. Well, there's a fun one.
Is that filing cabinet wrapped in saran wrap?
Yeah, because when I moved 4 or 5 years ago, I didn't have time to unbox or unpack the filing cabinets and put them in boxes and have them moved separately. I literally just taped them all shut and told movers not to tip them upside down and just crossed my fingers because there was literally 12 or 13 of them and they were all heavy as hell. So I just kind of, didn't really have the time to do it in a more refined manner. And as it turns out, nothing got damaged, so it worked. But a lot of them were really, the tape never came off and it's just a mess. And I don't know.
It's a cool style.
Well, it's, it's totes full of shirts and stuff. And There's also personal stuff down here, but I would say 75 to 90 to 80% is definitely all Weezer related. Like here's a bunch of old fan club T-shirts from the old days that were just in a box that was in Michael and Carly's stuff. And there's billions of
I still have all the fan letters I received in the 90s.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's like a time capsule. It's so cool because all those are the kind of, like, first of all, nobody writes a letter anymore.
Yeah.
And second of all those perspectives of what was going on at that time. And it's just, it probably seemed pretty mundane then to us, but now it'd be fascinating to read those. Maybe
I'll read some on the next Island in the Zoom.
That'd be great. Like here's just there's some posters. I think this is your microphone from Say It Ain't So. For some reason, I ended up in that video. I ended up with it. So
oh yeah.
Used it in the museum this last spring. And
you still have my DNA on it from my spittle.
Yeah, which I'm using to create another you. No.
Good. I could use another me.
Yeah, I know. You don't have enough time for everything. This is like the deepest corner. It just happens to be the deepest corner. That says 1. That's Weezer Archives 1. I don't even know what I'm looking at here. Oh, here we go. Very early stuff here. Here's the Rock City News.
Oh, crazy.
Can you see that? I can't even tell what I'm doing.
Are you trying to be reversed?
Yeah.
Move in reverse space.
There's no Weezer in this because this predates Weezer, but I think there's a picture of Pat Finn in it.
Whoa.
Like this is back in like the Dum Dums and all that kind of those days. But to me, it's all part of that Los Angeles story that, you know, Weezer's all a part of. So I just kind of, like, where else am I going to put it, you know?
Yeah. My band in that period was actually called Zoom, coincidentally. And we just wanted to get in Rock City News or one of those Sunset Strip rags.
Was I muted? I'm sorry if I was muted.
Oh.
Yeah. And it's for some reason getting in there was like everything, right? Because what other exposure could you possibly get except for some weird guy in an apartment in Hollywood writing about your band and like probably putting it down. But
yeah. Well, and everyone read those magazines, or at least they looked through them. Everybody.
Yeah, you had to. Is it working? Yeah. Had a bunch of that. It just goes on and on. I feel like the story of how things were in Los Angeles at that time period is kind of an untold story a little bit, and the fact that it kind of led to the birth of Weezer, it's like it's significant enough that I've been seriously thinking about how there's got to be a way to tell it, because that whole world where like the old glam world of the Sunset Strip was like morphing into something else, and like I don't know, there's like it feels like only the people that were there could really understand what it felt like, and a lot of those people seem to have vanished.
Do you have any, I don't want to put you on the spot, but any anecdote about Weezer or me or Takashi? I mean, anything that would illustrate one of the characters?
Takashi, I would never forget any of the stories about Takashi. They're all funny. I remember he would go out running when we lived in what we called the Blue Diamond Terrace, which was on Fulton, I believe, just off of Sunset, across from what used to be the Ralphs and the
Fulton. Was it Fuller?
Fuller, sorry, not Fulton, Fuller. Across from the Denny's, which is now some awful other thing. And you'd go out running in like it was like August in LA, so it'd be like, 95 and gross, and you go out running like crazy with his shirt off because he had to get into all his training every day. And he'd come back and he would be like, sweating, like super thirsty, like just exhausted. He'd be running like 15 miles in the sun. He'd come back in. The first thing he would do is chug an entire quart of whole milk. And And then he'd start cooking up a steak on the grill, like in a frying pan. And he just like terrible preparation. And he would just like start eating it. And he's like, Takashi, why do you do this? He's like, milk gives me a power.
So yeah, this is the guy that every night after karate class, I'd go over to his apartment and we would hit ourselves in the shin with sake bottles.
Right.
Bam, bam, bam.
Right. To like toughen them up, right?
Yeah.
You could like kick people.
Yeah. And he would punch trees so that his knuckles would essentially break and then fuse into one, what he called super knuckle.
Right. And he never stopped doing any of that stuff. And he's like one of the most like gentle yet most powerful people in the world, I think, today.
Yeah. Yeah, so he now is the sensei of a dojo in the same tradition right here in on Sawtell.
It's so cool. That was his dream. He he worked for like 15 years to get his green card, I remember. And he had to work for a grocery store guy that like made him, he had to work Christmas. He had to work every day of the year. He had to work like 14 hours a day. And he did it for like 5 years straight because the guy had him over a barrel. Like, if you don't do this, I won't get you your green card or it won't help you. And he did that. He put up with all that stuff because his dream was to have his own dojo in Los Angeles. He never wanted to, give up on that. It's so cool that he just went for it.
Yeah. He said now he's teaching classes like on Zoom, basically.
So cool. Oh, I'd like to see that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've gone over our time here, so it's so great to see you, Karl. Thanks for hanging out with us. And I'm going to play just a little bit of Happy Hour to take us out. The rest of you, I'll see you next weekend.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
I'm like Stevie Ray Vaughan up on stage, high on music, teeth grinding, sweating under the lights, but then my boss comes and she's crushing me with a 20-ton weight, just like in Monty Python. Somebody left on the sink, it's still running, my eyes are gonna overflow. I need happy hour on Saturdays. I need happy hour. I can't wait. Maybe I'll meet a scientist in sweatpants and a head tie. We'll conversate about Gettybird and MIDI keyboards. Then we'll slow dance, head on my shoulder, swaying back and forth, and my friends look on and smile. Everything's gonna be alright. It's my happy hour on Saturdays. It's my happy hour. I can't wait. It's my happy hour.
Thank you. So Karl, Rivers has split, and he gave us some permission last time to hang around and ask some extra questions. Do you have a few minutes?
I do.
Awesome.
I just want to make sure my connection is good. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because I'm in like the Wi-Fi pit of hell right now. So I was always afraid to come down.
Doing okay.
Like surrounded by concrete and steel and like tile.
So awesome. Panelists, does it have a question for Karl?
Yes, but I'll whoever wants to go first, go first. So,
Well, Carl, are there any items in the basement that you find yourself going back and looking at? I mean, like, I guess tying it to a specific memory that you always go back and look at?
Well, honestly, it's so packed that I can't remember where anything is half the time. But like, all they have to do is like open up one box or one filing cabinet, and things flood back immediately.
Yeah.
But like the oldest stuff is the stuff that has the most intense memories. I mean, I've shown you that kind of darkest corner over there. Those first two filing cabinets are like the very first ones I started putting together, which have been like, still in like the late 90s.
Yeah.
Before that, it was just like a pile of papers on the floor and stuff. And everything in there, like I may not quite understand what it is today. Like, what the hell is this? But once I study it for a few minutes, it's like, it just remember like, oh yeah, this is the note when, we had to go get the thing broke and we had to go get this and I had to go help Matt get that. And like, just little, things like that. And then the funny thing is I kept, I can find any right now. It's not going to be easy, but here's a good example maybe. Ooh, eating that is too early. Here's what we want. Oh, here's a good one. Here's a good one. I just had journals back then.
Oh,
wow. And I've referred to these multiple times. Like this is December 6, 1991.
Oh, wow.
January 12, 1993. So this is like the prime, prototypical era of like all the things were like, pretty much. I'd only been in LA like 6 or 7 months when I started writing this. So like, and if you can see all these little notes on the side, that's all stuff I've like, flagged because I had to like refer to what I wrote to try to figure out a time on something. And here, I'll read one. What does it say? So Rivers writes a song, Weird Power Grooves. And I later noted that the song was called Little Bag. I realized my true allies are, besides Pat Finn, Wink, which means Patrick Wilson, River. And then people I happily live with include Takashi. And on the more peripheral side is, I write Bob, Vaughn, and I put Bryce, which actually was the nickname of Matt. At the time, I did not know Matt well whenever I was writing this. And so, and he actually lived up in Northern California at the time. So he was like somebody I knew and was an acquaintance of, but I had no idea how well I was going to know Matt in a few months from now. So anyway, stuff like that just like freaks me out to like look at it now.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like a page I just randomly turned to. But yeah, like it's those things that like they're kind of like a gold mine. At the time, I didn't realize it, and I wish I'd kept much better notes, And there's so many things I'm like, geez, like according to like history, this incredibly important thing happened this day, and I've got a total blank. Like I didn't write anything that day. Like so what? Where was I? But yeah, I guess I could take some other question or whatever you want.
Hey, Karl, it's Lisa. I have a question for you.
I love Lisa.
My background, I don't know if you can see it.
I love it.
You created these flyers for a show in 1993.
Yes.
And it just blows my mind. Like back then, there's no social media. Probably didn't even have a cell phone. So maybe you have to copy these on a Xerox at what do they call shops? You go hand them out and try and get people. Was there a moment, I guess there have been many moments along the way, but was there a moment in the early days of Weezer where you and or the guys said, this is it, we did it, this is success, whether it's hearing the song on the radio the first time or signing with a label, like what is your memory of knowing like this is it?
Well, I think when they got signed, would have been that moment, but we were all very cynical. Like it was exciting and we were all like living day to day, like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? This is great. But it wasn't like you've made it. Like we were all very aware that, like by looking through like the cutout bins at like the record store, it's like, wow, this record whoever these guys are, this came out 3 months ago. And nobody said that. Like we knew that most bands, nothing happened, even if they got signed, even if out. So first you had to get signed, then you had to convince them to drop you before you even got to that point. Then you had to put the record out. Then the record had, and it was like all huge steps that were like a mountain. You still hear me? It says my internet connection is unstable. Okay.
Yeah, you're still there.
So getting signed was exciting, and I know there was a party and everything, and it was fun. But it wasn't until the record had been out for, I don't know if it was like a couple of weeks or a couple of months. We'd gone on this one of our little runs in our van. This wasn't even a proper tour. It was like, okay, we started like Arizona, like Phoenix somewhere, San Diego, which we lived, so it wasn't even a tour. But like, I remember there when we went out, and at the beginning of that, like prior to that, Undone had been served to K-Rock, which was the big station in LA. So, but it hadn't been added or nothing happened. But I remember called Rodney Rock, which was Rodney Bingenheimer's late night show where he would debut, these are the songs I think are cool. And his influence over the years faded drastically, which is sad because he was so important back in like the late 70s and 80s. But he still had the show in the early 90s at that point. He went on for years. And he played one night because he liked it. He liked Undone. And we'd gone out on this tour. And like, well, that was, who cares? But let's just go on these tours and keep our nose to the grindstone and just go for it. And when we came back a week later, the show that we had booked or were on, I can't remember if we were headliner or not, but it was at the Troubadour, which was a very ambitious thing to do because even though the Troubadour holds less than 1,000 people, it was like we couldn't pull 50 people in LA before that. So it was like, the label was like, we'll do like a label showcase. We'll get you guys, we'll pump it up. We're like, yeah, it'd be great, And even with all that attention, like they're trying to get us on the radio, they're trying to do all this stuff. They're trying to get people to come that matter, that will check it out. We're like, fine, there's going to be like, our same 40 friends that we know and a bunch of label dudes and a bunch of radio station dudes, just do the show. But when we got back, and we drove back that day, we didn't get back till that evening. It was a long drive from wherever we were coming from. I noticed we got up to the Troubadour, and there was a line of kids down the block as far as the eye could see. And I remember, maybe we're not here on the right night. This has got to be for some. And we turned on K-Rock on the station, on the radio, and it was like a disc jockey talking about the show. And let's play Undone again or whatever, and they put it on. So in the interim, while we were gone for a few days, they did Undone. And immediately there was interest that never before that moment. The show was, I think, sold out, or sold out was very close. And we've never seen that many people at a Weezer anywhere. Like that was like 10 times what we'd ever seen before. And it was that, I had 2 boxes of caps that we had made and like 1 little box of shirts. Sold everything out in about 10 minutes after they played. Like I sold them right off the stage. And that was the night I was like, all right, now we finally know that people will care about this. It wasn't until that night that it was like, now I can see that there's really interest. Like this can work, And the record had been out for at least a month, if not 2 at that point. It had been out a while and there'd been no activity at all. So
that's crazy.
Big surprise. Yeah.
Very cool.
I think it had to be that because it wasn't, sure, getting signed, making the record, these are all milestones. But, when you're making the Blue Album in New York, not one person in the country knew who Weezer was. So you felt important, but you felt like, yeah, but nobody cares,
That's so weird. That's so weird to think about. Wow. Steve, did you question for Karl?
Right. First of all, just want to show you my little pride and joy.
Yay!
Yeah. And, okay. A couple of questions. Like, given your day-to-day duties for Weezer and your family life as well, of course, what's the most realistic archival project you could do right now? And what's your dream archival project if you had the resources, whatever, you know, ultimately? I don't know, maybe sometime down the line.
Yeah. Realistically, it's funny how even with everything being shut down like this, I think it's when you factor in, you know, having to take care of your kid all the time and do everything, there isn't that much like extra time to like just, oh, I think I'll do a project. I've got a lot of little irons in the fire as far as things I want to do or I've been poking around with or doing a little bit here and there, but I wouldn't say that it's more like just constantly refining what is here so I can use it better later. Like, there's a lot of stuff that like I've packed into a box and labeled it, but I don't know what to do with it after that point. Like something needs to happen someday and it just hasn't happened. So any time I have an hour or two together, I will actually come down here and start thinking and poking around and seeing what I can do. But as for a dream project, I don't think it's an unrealistic dream. I think it's a realistic dream. And me and Pat Wilson have talked about this. We'd like to do some sort of definitive Weezer book, but the idea to me is much more in the realm of telling stories with images as opposed to writing the chapter by chapter, you know, biography kind of thing. Because I think it would be more interesting and more realistic and more like a biography to tell it through anecdotal stories and, you know, images of stuff that, you know, either scans or pictures or, you know, historical photos and stuff, much of which, you know, people have barely seen or never seen. And I think we could make like a nice, like, you know, omnibus size kind of book of that kind of thing, as opposed to, you know, Weezer, the story. Like, that's just not, that doesn't feel right for the band to me. Or, I mean, I know the one guy tried it. What's his name? Lurson or whatever. And he kind of got stonewalled a little bit. He didn't have the resources he needed to write it comprehensively, so he relied a lot on quotes from the internet. And I feel bad for him in that sense, but in the other sense, he probably shouldn't have tried that because it was like, you know, dude, you didn't have what you needed to work with and they weren't going to give it to you. So you did it anyway. And a book like that, like if it was done great, sure. But I don't know, like to examine this band under that kind of like, almost like,
microscope?
No, like what's the word? Like a university student, like a
dissection.
Yeah, like that kind of like, you know, it doesn't need that kind of like
perspective.
Theory.
No.
Yeah. Like the personal perspective. Like, okay, here's what I saw. Here's what Pat saw. Here's what somebody saw. This is what happened. And I think telling those kind of and showing those kind of images and sharing the kind of stuff that's packed down here would be a more real way of, you know, sort of summarizing what happened, especially like its early history and how it started and everything. Anyway, so that's my dream, is to have a book like that we could put out. And that's a dream. I don't think it's a pipe dream. It's just a matter of, it can take a lot of photography, a lot of writing, a lot of thinking. I'll have to conduct a lot of interviews, and, you know, because I mean, there's a lot of questions that very few people would know to ask almost, you know, having like you can ask a lot of questions like, well, what happened here? What happened there? But like, I remember incidents, like, here's a specific thing that only you and me in the room for. What do you remember about that day when blah, blah, blah happened? Because it was significant and it's not really part of the story yet, you know? So,
Would you still call it the kids got stuff?
Wait, so what?
Would you still call it the kids got stuff?
I like that. Mine was my mom's name for what the book should be called, because she'd look at all this and be like, you know? I mean, maybe as like a subtitle, I don't know. Pretty funny.
Karl, I think your Weezer archive is trying to protect its secrets right now with your signal.
Oh, well, maybe I should try to get, you know, I'll step out. Come on, because I think it's bad right here. Let me see.
Okay, sorry.
Is it any better when I walk? Is it any better? No?
I think it's getting better. Yeah.
A little bit? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the more you get into that corner, the more like walls there are, and the more like wood is okay. Once you get into concrete, it's not good for Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I think you're better now. Any other panelists have a question for Karl?
I do. Hi, Karl. We got to meet you on Elmwood at a record store last year, and you did similar to what you're doing now, where you gave a history. You just sat on the steps and talked so casually and so freely. You told such amazing, interesting stories. Would you ever do that again? We enjoyed it so much, and obviously everybody, he's so easy to listen to. You could sit and listen to him all day with these interesting things. Any chance you would do that again for us?
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, I'd hate to like repeat myself, but I'm certainly open to that. Yeah, I mean, if Phil wanted to set something up like that someday, we'd have to talk about how we could theme it a little differently. Maybe talk about a different album, focus on a different thing, something like that. Maybe do Pinkerton or something. I don't know. Maybe that's what you were getting at.
Great. It wouldn't even matter if it was the same stuff. It was great.
Yeah. Well, thank you much for saying all that. Yeah, no, I would be, and it wouldn't. It's if people, I know people, I'm happy to talk about that kind of stuff. That's cool. Yeah, see if it's
very cool. Anybody else? All right. Well, Karl, we thank you so much for giving us your time today. This has been a big chunk out of your day, and it's been so wonderful to hear your stories and hear from you and to see you.
Yes, thanks, Karl.
Thank you, Karl.
Thanks, Karl. Good to see you.
Karl tour.
Yes. Someday on tour again.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Goodbye.
Bye.